Good evening, Melbourne. Welcome to the show. Tough times never last, but tough people do. Hope you had a lovely week. I'm Michael Kuzilny, and I've got the lovely co-host Alita Howe.
Hi everyone. I just want to
Say hello to our lovely audience.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this week I want to send all my love to all the families out there and extended families who are dealing with mental illnesses in their family. My family had been touched with it. My sister is helping someone at the moment, and I just want to say it is very tough on the whole family, and my love is out to you.
Yeah, and also all the people in New Zealand who are suffering. God bless all those people who are going through tough times, and yourself too. If you're going through a tough issue, hope you get much better soon. On the couch tonight, a tough fella. His name is George Knoll. And thank you, George, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
God bless you, mate. You've been through a tough issue. You've spent some time in prison, more than 20 years. You've gone through a lot of hurdles. You've been a professional boxer. Tell me how it all started off. Did you kick around with the wrong group initially when you were younger?
Oh, no, it's just part of growing up, I suppose. You know, all people live on two sides of the street. But my trouble mainly started with me when I lost my little girl in a car accident in 1984 on Australia Day weekend. My son was a jockey, and my wife and son and three daughters went to Bendigo racetrack. I was doing some concreting at the house that day, and I never went, and 6 o'clock that Saturday night on the Australia Day weekend, the police knocked on my door and told me that they had some bad news. And I said, well, you always got bad news, you know. And they said, well, they given him both barrels and said to me, George, your daughter's just been killed in a car accident, and the rest of your family in a critical condition.
Wow.
So from that day, on the 28th of January 1984, I just never ever got up off the canvas.
And she was only 10, wasn't she, George? Only
Pardon?
10? Only 10 years old?
Yeah, she was 3 weeks of her 10th birthday.
Yeah.
How old were you
her
then,
name
George?
was Antoinette.
How old were you, George?
At that time, I was 35. Yeah.
Wow. It just stays with you forever, doesn't it?
It's
Such a tragedy.
It's very hard. It's a very hard thing when you lose a child. It causes a lot of trauma and grief to yourself and to everyone around you. For the first 6 months, I probably hid in a whiskey bottle. But as time went on, I met a doctor, by the name of a psychiatrist actually, by the name of Dr. Colin Reese, who became he worked at the Burberry Family Therapy Clinic at Parkville, and he became our therapist for myself and my children, my whole family, as to help us get over our grief.
How many children have you got, George?
I've got 3 living children. I've lost a little girl, Catherine, also. She was a couple of days old. Her heart was too small and she couldn't make it. But these days they can save them with medical science. Unfortunately, she was born at the wrong time. But yeah, I have a son, Stephen. He's 45. He's a jockey. He's attempting to make a comeback. And I've my middle daughter, who's 40, is Natalie, and my youngest daughter, Melissa, she's 33. Natalie has 4 children. Stephen has 4 children. Melissa has 3 children. So
It's the biggest grief.
and we all still suffer with the loss of their sister, my daughter.
George, I'm sorry to hear that, and I've spoken to quite a few people in the boxing, and they said you were a very good boxer, a professional boxer for 17 years.
That's right.
And you must have had a lot of anger. Did the boxing help to get over some of the grief?
This happened just after I retired from boxing. I retired at 34, but I had a lot of great friends in the boxing world who supported us after the death of my daughter, a lot of great friends in general. And they would all sort of stood behind me and my family and helped us, you know. just really, the boxing fraternity has some wonderful people involved in it, and we sort of all back up each other and look after each other and watch out for each other. My trainer was Ben Brizzy and his brother Cozzy, terrific guys. They helped us a lot, and myself personally over the years. They've always been there for me and my family. The hardest part, as I say, every time you see her, it never leaves you. You never get over it. It's something that if you've lost a child, you should seek help with a psychiatrist, because they do help you a lot, you know, and they've really helped me and my children to deal with our grief. It's just something you never get over. It's a hole that can never be filled. Every year, you know, you go through it again. Every year, it's the same thing. Every time a child gets killed on the road, you go through it, and your heart aches because you know what their parents are going to go through. And it happens 7 days a week, you know, 52 weeks a year. Someone's going to go through what I've been through and what I'm still going through.
And George, you said that your daughter, she wasn't wearing a seatbelt as well. That was
unfortunately, it was about 110 degrees that day in Bendigo. Stephen went up there for one ride in the Morong Cup, and he'd been wasting the mate the weight, and he dehydrated and blacked out behind the wheel.
Oh, dehydrated.
I think, unfortunately, my wife and son both had their belts on. That's probably what that's what saved their lives. But my 3 daughters didn't have their belts on, and they all suffered badly, you know, bad injuries. Melissa had a fractured skull, broken arm. Natalie had a broken arm and a fractured jaw, severe bruising, and of course, unfortunately, we lost Antoinette. But I must stress the fact that always teach your children to always wear their seat belts. Had she had her belt on, she'd be alive and here today.
Paramount.
Unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be.
And George, God bless you. Thank you for sharing your story. We're just going to go to a break and then we'll come back to you. But Tough Times will be back very shortly with George Knowles.